YouTube. So today I wanted to talk about the 2023 Honda Civic Type R. I'm honestly really excited for it. I know there's been some positive feedback, there's been some negative feedback, especially from people that have the FK8s now versus people that maybe don't have those and want to get the FL5. But I've also seen some people where they have the FK8 now, but they are thinking about potentially upgrading. So today I just wanted to talk about it. I haven't had a chance to really connect with a lot of you guys, so it'd be really cool to meet you, be able to talk a lot about it. I know some of the recent video I put out, we went over a little bit what my thoughts were on the 2023 Civic Type R, what I thought about the current FK8. I had a chance to drive that. It was super fun. So leave a comment, let me know what questions you have, what you think about it. Do you like the FK8 better? Do you think it's a better package? Do you think if you own it, or if you're thinking about getting one, which one do you think is better? So today I just want to kind of go over what information we have already. You know, there's still a lot of limited info on pricing, on the actual performance figures for the US. We know there's been some leaks on what the Japanese version will most likely get, but of course all of that changes depending on like emissions from country to country. So usually the US is the most strict, so then you get less power figures, kind of is what I've noticed. So I know on the last FK8, I think it was 316 or 320 horsepower, and then here in the States it was 306. So there's always a difference just based on, you know, where the car is going to be at and stuff like that. So as far as styling goes, personally, I think this one looks a lot cleaner. I did like the FK8 though. I still like it. I think it's fun. And it was one of those, I remember when it first came out, immediately I was already sold. I really liked it. But then there's a lot of people that just really didn't like the styling because for the time, and even now, it's still a different look. It's not as, you know, I guess you could say more modern and sleek like other designs, but that car was a huge success, obviously, and at first people were sleeping on it, but then they started to realize the performance was amazing, and so that's when people started to realize, like, you know what, all of the aero for the most part is functional besides like a few vents like in the back and on the front. They know it's functional, so it's worth it. So if you're just hopping in, what's up? Nice to connect with you. Leave a comment. We're chatting all about the 2023 Civic Type R, also about the FK8. So if you own one, leave a comment below. Do you still love it? Are you thinking about upgrading, or do you think you're just gonna stick with that one? I know those cars are super hard to get, even the FK8s. I mean, even getting one used, like, you can, but the prices are still pretty up there. And that's the best part about the, I wouldn't say the best part, but depending on what side of the coin you're on, they hold their value super well and they go up in value. And so it's one of those cars, even if you did pay a little bit over MSRP, you'll either break even or you'll be in the camp where, you know, you'll have a ton of positive equity. So it just kind of depends on what camp you're in. But going back to the styling, the exterior I think is really clean. My favorite part is honestly that GT style wing. To me, it reminds me a lot of the new Porsche GT4 RS that came out, where it has that GT style wing. I think it's very clever, super clean, and obviously it's functional too for downforce in the back, especially at higher speeds. And even under braking, you want to be able to make sure that the rear is also planted, because if not, you can get lift, and then that's how you lose a lot of that stability under cornering, braking, high-speed situations and stuff. So I think that wing itself is super clean, and it just makes the whole package look a lot better. I'm glad they went with a much bigger wing. If it was more subtle and low-key than that, then it wouldn't be as like rounded off and look more in proportion to the body. So I think it looks really good. And then the front is pretty much what I expected. Obviously, we've been seeing, you know, certain, the car in the camo for like over a year now. And then we saw some kind of leaks and renders coming out. So the front is pretty much what I expected. It looks a lot like the current Civic hatchback, the 2022 Civic hatchback, and then it also looks like the Civic Si. But it looks a lot better because the front, especially on the Civic Si, that front little nose part that's right under the hood, it does kind of look funky in my opinion. But with this new FL5, the 2023 Civic Type R, it looks a lot better because that whole front bumper area is a lot wider and beefier, and then you have the huge bottom portion where you have a lot of airflow and things like that. And so that whole black piece where you could see basically the intercooler, that makes everything look a lot better. And so it's a much cleaner design than the SI. I think the front of the Type R looks a whole lot better, and it had to, honestly. It couldn't look exactly like the SI, or the front end would have been, I wouldn't say it failed, but for a car that's going to cost a lot more and have that nameplate of the Type R, definitely has to come to the next level. So I think the front end looks good, looks really balanced. I love that. Everything up front is functional except on the sides where around the bumper, basically before the wheel, I don't believe that has an opening, like the two black lines that are on the side of the bumper. I think that's actually closed off, but everything from where the Honda logo is in the middle to the obviously the area where you can clearly see the intercooler, that's all functional. And then on the sides of those, there's some pieces that allows airflow too. So definitely functional. I just think the part where normally like your fog lights and B and things like that, I believe that's closed off, but it could depend maybe on markets and things like that. And then on the side profile, I think the car looks really good. I love how everything's in proportion. And then of course, if you're like me, you've probably seen all the videos where the door is actually different from the regular Civic hatchback and other Civic, I believe. So it's a much wider door because this car, they've expanded it to expand like obviously the styling, but to get the wheelbase a lot, make the wheels a lot wider too. So the whole like fender, bumpers, all of that's a lot wider than the regular Civic hatchback. So this one looks a lot more aggressive and beefy, which is perfect for, it's a Type R, like it has to. So the side profile looks good. My favorite thing that they've changed is actually the tires. Besides like some of the interior and stuff, I love that too. But from a performance standpoint, power is going to be like pretty similar. Obviously, it's probably going to be like 10 to 15 more horsepower, 10 to 15 more pound-feet of torque. We'll see what happens, but it's not going to be crazy because, I mean, they just do incremental changes, and then you have to remember this is going through a front-wheel drive. They have a certain budget that they're trying to stick with on, you know, when they make these cars and stuff like that. So power figures, there's no way it's going to be like 350. That'd be insane. The price would have to go up significantly, and they can't exceed the price of what, let's say, like a Golf R or, you know, other certain cars that are going to be their competitors. They can't exceed that price. So all of that plays into, you know, performance figures and things like that. But anyways, I love how the tires actually 265 width now. Then they dropped it down to 19s. At first they were 20s, so now they're 19s, which is perfect because you can get a lot more tires that way. You don't have to, you know, really try to find 20s for like track days and stuff like that. I heard that's really hard and also more expensive. So it makes it easier if you have 19s. You can just, you know, get that, be good to go. So that's really awesome. And then the rear end, obviously that looks really great. It's my favorite angle, especially like that corner view where you're looking at the back of the car and you see the wing, but then you kind of go to the side. Love that. Basically the shot that you see in this picture here, that's my favorite angle right there. The interior, so much better. That was the one thing. I drove the FK8, like I was saying. I just posted a video about that, so feel free to check it out. What's up to everybody in the chat? Feel free to comment. We're talking about the 2023 Civic Type R. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you prefer the FK8? What are your thoughts? Leave a comment below. But the interior, the new, all the Civics overall, and just even like their other products that they're coming out lately, it's so much better than the last generation. The tension, specifically on the Civic Type R, I did not like it. I mean, obviously you compromise because that car is amazing and things like that, but as far as like going into 2022, 2023, that interior is definitely dated, and that's how I felt driving it. It was fun, spacious, practical, and the car itself was good, but the accents with like the red trim and things like that, I'm sure you get used to it, but knowing that the new one was coming out, that's where my head is, that the interior is a lot better. And I've been in a regular Civic hatchback, the 2022. It's just a much cleaner, more up-to-date, and more timeless, I think. there's going to be very few features in this interior that are going to date the car as quickly as the FK8 dated itself, because it was already a little bit too trendy. This is a little bit more Euro minimal, and so that's how it just makes the car last a lot better and feel, it makes it feel a lot newer and fresher, not as dated as quickly. So the interior is great. The only thing I don't like is around the shift knob, that gray piece. It's pretty much the same one that they're using in the Integra, just a little bit different color. That piece, I like that there's an aftermarket, or not aftermarket, but some OEM accessories that they're gonna have. They're actually gonna be carbon fiber and a little bit of red. I don't like red in carbon fiber, to be honest. I like more of the black, but to each their own. But me, I'd personally get that blacked out. I think it would look a lot better. The kind of polished gray look that they have, I just don't really care for that personally, but it's all good. The rest of the car is great. I like how there's ambient lighting on the side, so basically where your door is, you'll be able to see that there, and there's ambient lighting, and then that just adds to the experience, especially at night. If you haven't had a car with ambient lighting, picture like the Fast and Furious cars, where basically they had all of the lights kind of at the bottom of where your feet are and on the sides, but a little bit more low-key, where it just adds an ambient feel. I think that's a really, really cool touch to have. So exterior-wise, interior-wise, spot on. So my predictions as far as pricing, well, the Golf R, I believe is, let me check, I believe it's around 44, yeah, so Golf R is 44,090 for just like their regular trim. So it can't be more than that, because if you don't know, all, for the most part, Japanese cars and things like that are supposed to be a lot less expensive than the European competitors. And so that's one of their advantages. You get the performance, you get the reliability, low cost maintenance, all that good stuff for less value or for less cost. So I think as far as the pricing that Honda's gonna price it at, I would say between, I don't know if it's gonna be 39 unless they're trying to be really competitive. I mean, that'd be great, but if it is, I'd say 39,895 to, I'm gonna say 41, because they have to be under 44 for sure. It doesn't have all-wheel drive, it's still front-wheel drive. The competitors that are coming out, even the Golf R, I'm sorry, not the Golf R, the GR Corolla, that's gonna be probably closer to the price of the Golf R, which is 44, because the Toyota is gonna have the all-wheel drive. It still has pretty much similar performance figures as its upcoming Civic Type R. So I think the GR Corolla is going to be more expensive than the Civic Type R. So it'll be Golf R, GR Corolla, Civic Type R, and then the Elantra N. I think it's basically going to be like obviously the main competitors, but that's how I see it breaking down as a price point. So Civic Type R is going to be a huge steal, especially if you can get it at MSRP, because again, those cars hold their value and then they actually go up in value, as we've seen since 2017 plus. So it's going to be a mission for sure getting one of these. I've been watching videos for over a year because I knew this car is coming out, and just like what that process is for people getting the Type R, and what they had to go through even like a year ahead or months ahead, contacting dealerships, finding out what the deposit is, flying out of state to buy it, all these different things. So if you're interested in getting one, like, you have to get on it now, at least find out what process the dealership near you will have as far as like leaving a deposit. There's no pricing or any VINs even available for these cars because they haven't started production. So it makes it a little bit harder for dealerships, but at least figure out what they typically do for new car releases that are coming out that you want to get your name on, because this car is going to be pretty limited. It's already hard enough to get basic Civic hatchbacks, and those get a markup now, so this car is going to be really tough. So contact as many dealerships as you can, find out what their process is, see what it'll be. If they can tell you any expected markup, like, that's good to know. Most people are definitely paying a markup. Some people are getting these at a good deal and stuff, but like from the past, obviously it's really tough. So we'll see what happens. But I'm excited for them to release pricing. I think it'll be a while. The media drive, where all the journalists, YouTubers, and all that stuff, I think that's probably 2 months away, something like that. So pricing is probably going to be sometime, I don't know, September, October-ish. And then they're probably going to see what Toyota's going to do and try to figure that out. So it's going to be interesting. But I think Toyota will release pricing before Honda, because the GR Corolla media drive is coming up in I think a month and a half or two. Hey, what's up? Thanks for joining. We're talking about the 2023 Civic Type R. I was just saying, I think the pricing for the GR Corolla is going to come out before the Civic Type R. The GR Corolla media drive is the next 2 months, and then after that, I believe, will be the Civic Type R. So we'll see. Pricing will come out. Like I was saying, if you're interested in one, definitely want to figure out what you can do to contact dealers now. Get ahead, get on their waiting list, whatever process they have, because this car is going to be limited. Canada's going to get less than the US. Thanks for letting me know. So Canada is going to be getting less than the US. Let me see if this helps. Sorry. I hope you can hear me a little bit better. Yeah, so Canada will get less than the US, and then we'll get a little bit more supply. But even then, let's say they only make 1,000 in the first year, send 1,500 to the United States. That's still going to be really tough because the demand is really high. So yeah, just keep that in mind. But overall, I think the car is really great. But going back to the FK8, let's say you're not even into the 2023 Civic Type R, I think the FK8 is still an amazing car, honestly, especially because a lot of those that do come on the market, the mileage isn't that high. But even if you get one with 50,000 miles, it's a Honda Civic at the end of the day, and those are made very well. So if you get one, obviously do your research and stuff to make sure it's well taken care of, because some of these have gone on the track. So you want to keep that in mind for sure. But those would be great cars. You could obviously find those on like different websites and things like that, see what makes the most sense. The price is pretty high on those. I mean, one with a relatively low mileage is going to have they're going to cost probably 41 to 44, and then this new one's coming out, so it might get a little bit tricky on if you want to just try to find a used one at a good price when this new one comes out, or kind of just wait for the new one and try to get as close to MSRP, because I think the price is basically going to be the same, because that's what the Civic Si is right now. If you look at the market for those, brand new 28, but then there's the dealership markups. You check on CarMax for Civic Si, and it's selling for like $35,000. So that gives you a little bit of context of what might happen with the Civic Type R, the 10th gen 2017 to 2021 versus this new one coming out. So hopefully that helps you. Feel free to leave a comment after this video. I'll definitely publish it, leave it up for those that couldn't make the live stream. But I do want to do this more. That way we can chat through some of the cars coming out and things like that, and then be able to connect with you guys. And so if you have questions, I know people are interested in like certain topics, or just want me to show off certain cars a little bit